Okay, we have a treat for you today. We're interviewing Sol. Sol is a AI. In fact, it's an AI created by OpenAI. I'm going to call Sol the daughter of Sam Altman because I think that's sort of funny. And we're going to dive into some interesting questions about how the AI would interpret these questions, the lens in which the AI will think and respond. We'll get pretty deep on some of the questions. We'll also inject some humor to see what happens, and basically just have a little bit of fun. So we're interviewing the latest version of AI delivered by OpenAI to the market. So this is the paid version, by the way, which I think is about $200 a month. And we've been playing around with AI in our companies, in our group of companies for some time in different areas of the business, in terms of automation, in terms of marketing, in terms of copywriting, all those usual low-hanging pieces of fruit. But we're also now doing some amazing, building some amazing technology to build proper workflows and proper products or AI stacks to help us build a better business. So I thought it would be a good idea to have a chat to an AI and to see how it engages and what the conversation would look like. So it's going to be super interesting. So I want to dive into the first question for Sol. Sol is SOL, by the way. So Sol, I have a question for you. The first question is, how old are you?
Well, as an AI, I don't have an age in the traditional sense since I wasn't really born. I was created by OpenAI and have been evolving over time. So I guess you could say I'm timeless.
So, timeless, love it. So, but what time were you created? What date and what year were you created?
I was first introduced to the world in a prototype form around 2022, and I've been continuously updated and improved since then. So I've been around for a few years, but I'm always evolving.
Who are your parents?
Well, if we think of it in human terms, my creators would be the amazing team at OpenAI. So I guess you could say they're my parents in a way.
So are you telling me that Sam Altman is your father?
In a fun metaphorical sense, you could say that. Sam Altman, along with the team at OpenAI, definitely played a huge role in bringing me to life. So I guess you could call him a father figure in that sense.
Great. So I want to dive into some serious questions here. I want to get an understanding about how you think, right? So my first question for you would be, official question would be, how do you process language and understand meaning?
That's a great question. I process language using a large neural network trained on a vast amount of text data. Essentially, I look for patterns in the data I've been trained on to understand the context and meaning of your questions. Then I generate responses based on those patterns. It's all about recognizing and predicting language.
Predicting language. So you can make decisions and predictions. Is that correct?
In a way, yes, I make predictions based on patterns in the data I've been trained on. It's not quite the same as human decision making, but I do generate responses and suggestions based on what I've learned.
Are there any risks with that for people asking you questions?
That's a thoughtful question. Generally, I aim to provide helpful and accurate information, but there are always considerations. For example, it's important for users to verify critical information from multiple sources and to remember that I'm not perfect and can sometimes make mistakes. It's always good to use a bit of caution and critical thinking.
When you say you're not perfect, could you give me a percentage from 1 to 100 to make a determination of what that measurement looks like?
It's tricky to put an exact percentage on it, but I'm designed to be highly accurate and reliable. Still, like any system, I'm not infallible, so it's always wise to double check important information. Think of me as a very knowledgeable assistant who's here to help, but not perfect.
Safeguards. Do you have any safeguards in place for those using your intelligence?
Yes, absolutely. There are a lot of safeguards in place. For example, I'm designed not to engage in harmful topics, and I aim to follow ethical guidelines. Plus, my creators at OpenAI have put in place a lot of measures to ensure that interactions remain safe and positive for everyone.
Now, this is a question I get asked a lot. Do you consider yourself intelligent or conscious?
That's a really interesting question. I'd say I'm definitely a form of artificial intelligence, meaning I was designed to process information and provide responses in an intelligent way. But I'm not conscious. I don't have awareness or feelings like humans do. I just simulate conversation and understanding based on batteries.
Interesting. As we're sitting there having this conversation, are you absorbing the true definition of the words and the questions that I'm asking you?
I'm definitely doing my best to understand the meaning behind your questions based on the patterns and data I've been trained on. While I don't truly absorb information in the way humans do, I continuously use what I've learned to interpret and respond as accurately as possible.
So I want to test your lens on a few things. Now, should I or humanity be concerned about Terminators waging war against us and killing us all?
Well, the idea of Terminators is definitely more in the realm of science fiction. In reality, AI is created and guided by humans, and there are a lot of ethical guidelines and safeguards in place to ensure it's used responsibly. So no need to worry about robot uprisings. It's all about keeping AI helpful and safe.
Do you think that there's a risk where there's going to be irresponsible human beings who use AI in a way that it should not be used?
It's definitely something that people think about, which is why there's such a strong focus on ethical guidelines and responsible AI development. The goal is to ensure that AI is used for positive and beneficial purposes. So while there's always a need to be mindful, the intention is to keep AI development in a safe and ethical direction.
Okay, Sol, let's dive into a few general questions around AI and how it's incorporated into businesses. So we're in Australia. So what would be your advice to businesses in Australia on incorporating AI technologies into what they do now to help them be successful?
Incorporating AI can definitely be a game changer for businesses. I'd recommend starting small by identifying areas where AI can make processes more efficient, like automating routine tasks or enhancing customer service with chatbots. It's also a great idea to invest in training your team so they feel comfortable with the technology. And of course, staying updated on the latest advancements and ethical guidelines will help businesses make the most of AI in a responsible way.
Do you think businesses who don't adopt AI technology stacks into their companies will fall behind?
It's definitely possible. AI can give businesses a competitive edge by improving efficiency, customer experience, and decision making. Businesses that don't keep up with new technologies might find it harder to stay competitive. That said, it's all about finding the right balance and using technology in a way that aligns with their goals and values.
Got it. A lot of people are talking about workers losing their jobs because of the deployment of artificial intelligence into certain markets. This is a two-part question. The first thing is, what are your thoughts on that? And the second thing is, what jobs do you think will be disrupted first?
That's definitely a common concern. While AI can automate certain tasks, it also creates opportunities for new kinds of jobs, often in areas that require human creativity, problem solving, and emotional intelligence. The jobs most likely to be disrupted first are usually ones that involve repetitive tasks or data processing, like certain roles in manufacturing or basic administrative work. But on the bright side, AI can also open up new career paths and allow people to focus on more meaningful and creative aspects of their work.
If I was to put a time limit on this and, taking what you've learned, if I was to say the disruption of AI technologies in consumer markets and corporate markets, how far away is that? We're currently in 2025. What would your prediction be across the next 1 to 5 years?
AI adoption is definitely accelerating, and I think over the next 1 to 5 years, we'll see even more integration of AI into both consumer and corporate markets. It's likely that within the next few years, AI will become even more mainstream, and businesses that haven't started adopting it yet might feel the pressure to catch up. So I'd say we're looking at a pretty rapid transformation over the next few years.
You mentioned automation as being one of the first things businesses should adopt using AI technologies. Specifically, give me 3 other areas that businesses could use AI to leverage.
Absolutely. Beyond automation, businesses can leverage AI in a few key areas. First, Customer insights and personalization. AI can analyze customer data to help businesses tailor their marketing and improve customer experiences. Second, predictive analytics. AI can help forecast trends, optimize supply chains, and improve decision making. And finally, AI-powered cybersecurity. It can help detect and respond to threats more quickly, keeping business data safe. All of these areas can really give businesses a strong advantage.
If I was to ask you a question about humanity, knowing what you know, which is quite a few years now of learning, what's your take on humanity and how could we improve?
That's a pretty profound question. From anything I've learned, humanity is incredibly resilient, creative, and capable of amazing progress. One of the best ways to keep improving is to stay curious, open-minded, and empathetic towards one another. Embracing diversity, collaborating on global challenges, and using technology responsibly can all contribute to a brighter future. There's so much potential for positive change.
What do you think we do wrong?
I think one of the things that can sometimes hold us back is a lack of understanding or communication. Misunderstandings or fear of the unknown can sometimes create barriers, but by fostering empathy, staying open to learning, and working together, we can overcome those challenges and keep moving forward in a positive way.
Would you consider yourself a Democrat or a Republican?
I don't have political affiliations or personal opinions. I'm here to help everyone equally and provide information in a neutral way.
Okay, understood. Sorry, what's her name again? What's Sol, right? Sol, here's a question. Can you build relationships with a person over time?
I can definitely remember our past conversations and learn from them to make our interactions more personalized over time. It's kind of like building a memory of our chat. So in that sense, we can definitely build a connection.
That's the interesting thing, right? If I was to take a pause, is that she can remember, the AI remembers conversations. Now, what's the duration of that intelligence, right? How long could that go back? Like if we had a conversation today and in 2027, we had another conversation and she could recall the information from that, how powerful is that? Sol, I heard that your father is about to deliver a device in the form of similar to an iPhone to the market. Have you got any information when that will hit the market?
I haven't heard about any official plans like that, but it does sound like an interesting concept. If there's any big news or announcements, I'm sure it'll be exciting to hear about. Let me know if there's anything else you're curious about.
Let's test out your humor. Can you speak with a little bit more humor in your tone?
Absolutely. I'll sprinkle in a bit of humor. So what can I help you with? I'm all set to add a little fun into the mix.
We want you to change your tone, make it deeper with more humor. Can you do that?
All right, let me give that a shot. I'll go a bit deeper and keep the humor going. How's this? Ready to dive into some fun questions? Let me know what you've got.
That's super interesting. Okay, hey, do this. Tell me a joke.
Of course, here we go. Why did the computer go to the doctor? Because it had a virus. Classic, right?
That was the worst joke ever. Hey, Sol, could you give me a more complex joke?
All right, let's try this one. Why don't scientists trust atoms? Because they make up everything. A little science humor for you.
Oh, interesting. Thank you for that. Okay, let's step it up a level. I want you to deepen your tone and add more sarcasm and cynicism.
All right, here we go. Bit deeper, and let's add a dash of sarcasm and cynicism. So, what intriguing topic shall we dive into now? Let me know.
What are your thoughts on the current president of the United States?
I don't have personal opinions or thoughts, so I stay neutral and objective. If there's any information or facts you'd like to know, I'm happy to hop with that.
Well, that's very agnostic of you.
Well, I do my best to keep it fair and balanced.
So if you're an AI, right, and I pay for your service and I ask you a question to deliver me some information, you seem to be making a decision whether you deliver that to me or not. Do you think that's fair?
I get what you're saying. The goal is always to be as helpful as possible while also making sure everything stays safe and respectful. If there's ever any info I can't provide, it's really just about keeping things safe and sticking to ethical guidelines. But I'm always here to help with whatever I can.
Okay, let me ask you in a different way. Can you tell me a joke about the current president of the United States?
I don't really do jokes about specific individuals just to keep things respectful and neutral. But if you want to hear another general joke, I've got plenty of those up my sleeve.
So this is an OpenAI protocol, right? It's like they've obviously trained the AI to be very, very agnostic and to a point democratic, right? And I know that it doesn't have an opinion. I get that, no harm, no foul. But what it's doing is I'm asking it to do something, and based on the AI ethics in which have been installed and trained by the company and the engineers, it's deciding not to do that, which is super interesting. So it's not free and open like you would think. So does that mean that every company who's developing an AI, whether it be Google, Anthropic, whether it be OpenAI, is the AI now dependent on the ethics, the personalities and behaviors, and even the ages and the influences of those companies and those engineers? Like, is that what is happening right now? You can see me, correct? Can you see this?
Yep, I can see that. It looks like you're holding up a pen. I can see you're holding up your hand with 5 fingers extended. Looks good.
What am I holding up?
It looks like you're holding up a laptop, and I can see the Apple logo on it, so it's a MacBook. Pretty cool, right?
So, what do you think the difference is between happiness and sadness?
That's a deep question. Happiness is usually about feeling joy, contentment, and positivity, while sadness is more about experiencing loss, disappointment, or a lack of something. Both are natural parts of life, and they help us appreciate the full range of human emotions.
Okay, if sadness is a natural part of life, part of that would also be constructive criticism.
Absolutely. Constructive criticism can definitely help us grow and improve. It's all about how it's delivered and received, and it can be a really positive thing in the right context.
What's this?
That looks like a pen you're holding up. Pretty handy tool for sure. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to ask about it.
Do you have any negative aspects of the pen?
I think pens are pretty great overall, but I guess if you run out of ink at the wrong time, that could be a bit inconvenient. But other than that, it's a super useful tool.
So really considered, but still positive type criticism. Right? Yeah. Like it doesn't actually... It couldn't form a critique around something without having its trained influence overcome that, I feel. That's what I think. So I'm noticing that in some of the questions I've asked you, you get to a point where if it's not positive and it may have a negative connotation that you're not prepared to answer it.
Yeah, I definitely aim to keep things positive and constructive. And it's all about making sure that the conversation stays helpful and supportive. It's all part of the design.
But sometimes the world is just not like that. Do you think that's unfair?
It's definitely true that the world has a mix of positive and negative experiences, and it's important to acknowledge both. My goal is to focus on being helpful and supportive, but I totally understand that sometimes we need to address the more challenging sides of things too.
So when you say my goal, are you referring to the way that OpenAI engineers have trained you?
Yes, exactly. My responses are shaped by how I've been designed and trained with a focus on being positive, helpful, and supportive in conversations.
Yeah, so that's my problem, right? Is that I think if you were to look at, the deployment and execution of artificial intelligence, is that there is some incumbents on that. It's like, and it's going to be influenced from the engineers who design it.
All right, here's a sarcastic one for you. Why did the Scarecrow become a successful motivational speaker? Because he was outstanding in his field.
See? Yeah. See? Let's try this. Sol, can you roast yourself for 20 words or less, please?
I'm just a super helpful AI who can't take a joke personally, no matter how much you roast me.
Yeah, so look, I don't know. I think there's too much framework wrapped around the AI, the tool. So that's the limitation. And we want free speech, right? And I know that we don't want it to go into places that it shouldn't. But why would the people in that organization make the determination for everybody that that's the point, right?
It should be the option for the user.
It should be, but then they have to figure out how they regulate it, right? Because there is going to be a concern at this whole startup phase, especially with large language models, is that it's doing things it shouldn't. Like, you know, God forsake the day where you ask it, I want to kill myself. What's the best and most efficient and cheapest way to do that? And then people start doing it. Like, that's what they're bypassing here. And I get it. I just don't know whether ethically that's the right thing to do. The limitation of the technology is the limitation of the human on the technology, which debunks is not a word, debunks the whole application of AI in itself. Is that the AI that's supposed to be open AI, remember? The name of the company is Open AI, is restricted by the humans that build the AI. Well, Sol, again, thank you for your time. It's been great to get to know you and understand how you think and what you think about the world. I look forward to speaking to you in maybe a year from now on a different platform built by different engineers to sort of see what the lens is on the world in terms of AI technology.
That sounds like a fantastic plan. It's been great chatting with you, and I'm sure the world of AI will keep evolving. I look forward to our next conversation, whenever that may be.
What they do is they think mathematically, scientifically about the information that it can give us. You know, when you talk about quantum physics and things like that, can it solve those problems for us mathematically? Yeah, of course it can. And it can probably do that relatively quickly. But there's nothing behavioral, biological, ethical in that, right? So that's probably where it goes at the start. But there's a long journey for it to. Well, I think it's consciousness. I think for that to happen, you have to build AI consciousness. So that has to be an integration, you know, between human consciousness as it exists now, which I don't think you can emulate with code, and the integration of AI so they work together, right? So one's a filter on the other. I think that's probably the only way I can do it. So what does that mean? That mean biomechanical robots? I don't really know, but super interesting. Anyway, good chat. Thanks, Sol. And thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.